ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spurs Live. We are joined by all of the panel. We've got Josh and we've got Matt. How are you guys doing?
Very good, mate. Happy to be back on.
Good stuff. Matt, long time no seen. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. I'm not gonna lie, 10 points from 12. You can't not be happy with that, can you?
Can't be not happy from that. That's that. I didn't think we were gonna have a better start to the season than this. But look, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Obviously, Matt, Josh, and myself provide you content non-stop, so make sure to subscribe and follow all the socials. So let's get into it. Josh, what are your thoughts on the 5-2 win against Burnley? Obviously, we went 1-0 down. And then we just dominated, and then we conceded last minute. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was a bit worried. The first 10, 15 minutes were a bit shaky. We struggled a little bit with Burnley, but that happens. A newly promoted side at home, they're facing one of the bigger teams in the league. They've rode the momentum of the crowd a little bit, but then as soon as we got that equaliser, never in doubt, we absolutely dominated the game. And it was another fantastic performance. I was really, really happy with it, and it's a good way to end off before the international break.
100%. I can't lie. I'm pretty gutted that the international break has come now. But Matt, obviously, you and your lovely dog wonder what the dog has got to say about the match. But Matt, what are your thoughts?
Just so you know, this is Hershey, and he's Tottenham's biggest fan. Shadow.
Oh, big up Hershey. I heard they're coming on Spurs from I think.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on the game? Obviously 5-2, Sonny playing as striker, left winger Manor Solomon, both of them combined to do amazing stuff up front. What were your thoughts on the game in general, though?
Yeah, I thought. I thought our midfield trio were just fantastic again. Mm-hmm. Like, they have been consistent every single game this season. I thought my two standout players, I would probably say, would be Maddison and Udogie.
Yeah.
I thought Solomon had a good time on the wing. I thought Son. I mean, I've picked out Maddison and Udogie, but you can't really forget a player who's got a hat trick, right? So fantastic from Son. And in all honesty, I think in Ange's system, Son isn't a wide man. I think when we were playing counter-attacking football, we're sitting back, counter-attacking football with Conte, Mourinho. I thought that suited Son. Son could play on the wing because it's all about hitting them on the counter. But in Ange's system, you need rapid wide men who will hug the touchline and take their men on. And that's not Son. That's not Son as a player. Like, he can take a player on, but it's more about making the space to get a shot away rather than just hugging the touchline and getting the ball down. Correct. So I personally believe that Son should continue playing through the middle. And I know it's tough on Richarlison, but I think, Richarlison plays backup again like he did last year to Kane.
I think that is the result after all. Like, no, what you said about Son and Richarlison, I think he does need to play backup. No, I mean, if he's performing like that.
I would love for Richarlison to be a resounding success. I really would. But at the end of the day, the priority is the team. And unfortunately, just because I like someone and just because I want them to be successful, I'm not going to play them if there's a better player to play in that position. And I think Sonny should be through the middle. I think Solomon should be playing on the left because I thought he had a positive game. He had, was it 2 assists?
Manor, yes. Yeah. 2 assists.
So he had 2 assists, which is decent. I thought he played well. More traditional winger than Sonny. And then I know it's controversial, but I'd potentially drop Kulusevski for Johnson.
Yes, I mean, with the new signing of Johnson, it brings a lot of questions up to this attacking lineup, and this is what I'm going to come to, Josh. With, you've got Sonny, who personally I've been shouting for him to start up front. And then obviously got battered when I said that Perisic shouldn't start on the left-hand side. But with regards to the attackers, now we got the addition of Brennan Johnson. You can add Pedro Porro to there as well. What is your starting front three? Now that Son, I know it's Burnley, but he bagged 3 goals. He bagged 3 goals.
Yeah, I mean, he started last season. He opened his account up with a hat-trick against Leicester off the bench. Feels like slightly different circumstances this time. Hopefully, he continues in a much better vein of form than he did after his last hat-trick last season to start off. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him through the middle. Like Matt said, he's not got traditional winger pace. Sonny is still rapid, don't get me wrong, but he'll beat you over 20. He'll beat a centre-back over 20 yards. He won't beat a fullback over 5 or 10. That's the difference now. He's got a completely different type of pace to what he used to. And I think he's much more effective through the middle. Like, I know we call him Sonaldo as a joke, but like you saw with Ronaldo at Madrid, eventually he couldn't play off the left anymore. He just didn't have that sort of explosive pace anymore, put him through the middle, and he scored a bucket load of goals and really sort of extended his career into his mid to late 30s. So I think it could be the same sort of thing with Son. I really enjoyed him up front.
Coming back to what you said, Josh, like, it just felt like a completely different game to when he got his hat-trick against Leicester.
Yeah.
Like, in the Leicester game, all right, he came off the bench, he exploded into the game, but he's had a little bit of space and had a couple of belters.
Yeah.
And he's just pulled the trigger from 30 yards and put it in the top corner. It's like, okay, brilliant. But this game felt completely different. Like, he was getting into spaces. He was making the intelligent runs. His first goal, he made the run, got the ball, laid it off to Solomon. Solomon plays it back to him. And again, like, that is not the finish of a player who's low on confidence.
That's a beautiful finish. That's a finish. Richarlison just can't do that finish right now. We know in pre-season Richarlison actually scored a similar finish to it, but in his vein of form and his current mindset, I don't think Richarlison can finish that. Not in that way.
In that situation, Richarlison is short on confidence. And because he's short on confidence, when you're confident, you do those little dinks and you go, oh yeah, perfect. Like, you're kind of showboating a little bit.
I think Richarlison really rides the wave of emotion. As a player, I think his form reflects his emotion and the mood around the club and how the club feel about him. And I feel like now might be the international break couldn't have come a better time for Richarlison, because I don't know if he's going away with Brazil, but I think it's a good time to sort of let his critics die down a little bit and then come back again.
I'm not gonna lie, if he goes and scores 5 goals in 2 games for Brazil, he might come back to Tottenham a different player, right? The same as if he goes and bags a hat-trick against Luton. A few games down the line, he goes and bags a hat-trick against Luton. Suddenly, we might have a different Richarlison on our hands.
It's not even just the goal scoring, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Go on.
Sorry, Josh. It's not even just the goal scoring, because Ange's strikers don't generally actually score a load of goals. Kyogo at Celtic did, but it's actually what they give you off the ball, the unselfish runs, the space creating, the hold-up play, the pressing. But that was actually my bigger concern against Fulham. It wasn't the fact that Richarlison scored. I couldn't have cared less about the goal. It was his overall performance, which was absolutely howling against Fulham. And that's what he hasn't been giving us outside of his goals. I couldn't care less about the goals from him right at the minute, because we're sharing them so well throughout the team.
I think that's the question though in general. Like, does he offer that overall performance that let's not compare to Harry Kane, but we have to in this situation comparing to what Harry Kane has done. And in the previous years, obviously Kane has dropped deep, collected the ball, and that is really what Ange wants. Ange wants a striker like that. And whatever it is, what it is. Kane left.
I don't think Ange does. If I'm honest.
Okay, why?
I don't think Ange wants a striker who's dropping deep.
No, I agree.
I think Ange wants a striker that's playing on the shoulder and making runs and creating space. And if he makes that run through the middle, suddenly it creates a bit of space for your winger to get down and put it in, or create some space for, like, let's say the striker runs through the middle, the two central defenders follow the striker, and then the ball's then laid back to Madison.
That's what happened against Bournemouth. That's how Sarr got the space to slip in Maddison. They took the centre-backs away with unselfish runs to the right-hand side, created the space, slips it in. Again, against Burnley this week, Maddison's goal. Centre-backs are nowhere to be seen because the unselfish runs from Sonny and the wingers taking the centre-backs out wide. Madison
That's
straight
what the
through
striker
middle.
needs to do. That's what the striker needs to do. When I mean drop back, I mean bring the centre backs deep. And I feel like when you got Richie though, Richie is a striker that is he's either not there to score the goals, and he doesn't create that unselfish runs. He doesn't do that. Now this is the question I'm going to come to you, Matt. With. How long do you give him? How long do you give him until it is?
Right. You say that, but Richarlison's his entire career, he's always been a hard worker. He's not that striker who walks around all game and then just suddenly pops up and gets a goal. He has always been active, running, chasing, doing all of the things that you'd want him to do. But unfortunately, in the vein of form he's in, I mean, it cannot be epitomised more than when. Do you remember in the Bournemouth game when that ball got played into him and he then just stood on it and fell over the ball?
Literally, yeah.
And you just like, I'm not going to lie. If that was Richarlison at Everton, he's taking that ball and running with it. But because he's lost his confidence, unfortunately, that's it. I personally believe that Son should play through the middle because, like you said, he's got pace, and against the centre-back, he's got plenty of pace. But against a pacey fullback, it's a slightly different story.
But you got to also add the fact that he is a very unselfish player, and that's exactly what we need from a striker, an unselfish player. Because, in my opinion, I don't think strikers in Ange's system will get the goals. I feel like it's more midfielders and wingers who get the goal. But if the striker gets a position to score, he has to be clinical. And this time last season, I'm confident that Sonny wouldn't have scored that little dink, but now he's confident. Got the captain's armband. I think he's much better. Josh, do you think Brennan Johnson? I know you mentioned Kulusevski. Does Brennan Johnson now get a run in that right wing spot, or does Kulusevski?
Brennan Johnson, and a controversial move before it even happened. He really got sort of one of those where Spurs fans weren't too happy with it, and because of the price tag. But I think he's been misprofiled a little bit. We talk about Sonny and his finishing. Sonny notoriously outperforms his XG every year. He's a clinical finisher. And Brennan Johnson's got this sort of weird reputation already, even though he's only been in the league a season, that he's not a good finisher. It's not true. He had 6 XG last season, scored 7 in the Prem. He does outperform his XG. He is a good finisher. And I think the most important thing, we just talked about working hard off the ball. He matches in the 91st percentile for wingers for progressive carries, tackles, and sprints. So he's going to work his off. He works so hard for the team, and I think he's a very different profile to Kulusevski, but he's also got pace to burn. So he gives that option of playing in behind to the team, which we haven't necessarily got with Kulusevski or Solomon. They're not that type of player that can sort of play off the guy at the top like that. But he brings a different profile. But I'm actually I do think maybe it was a little bit of an overpay, but you do nowadays. You have to overpay for certain players. Yeah. And he was Ange's top target.
For young
that's the thing. He was a top target. Matt, do you think he's a good signing, by the way? Sorry. Do you think he's a good signing, Brennan Johnson?
I'm really positive about the signing. Like he's a young player. It's not like we brought in a 27, 28-year-old and we're hoping he has the form that he had in League One, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the Dutch league. Okay.
There's this random snobbery from people that they just don't think anyone can improve. This is the player we've brought. That's it. He'll forever be this kind of player, like this level of player. He'll never improve. It's just not true.
No, like he's a young, exciting winger. He's got pace to burn. He's one of the fastest wingers in the league, isn't he? I believe.
Yeah, the kid's rapid.
So I personally, I'm not going to lie, 4 weeks ago, I'd have probably be saying Richarlison, Kulusevski as our front three.
Yeah.
Now I've seen the type of football Ange is playing, I would actually say Solomon, Son, and Johnson should be our front three. And then I think Perisic is a good player to bring on later in the game. Because you've got Solomon stretching the game during the game, wearing out the defender, and then Perisic can come in later in the game, and just get those pinpoint crosses in the box that we know he can deliver, and just get a bit more direct football, which is great. And then I believe Kulusevski can do the same as Perisic, but on the other side. But instead of starting, we've got a rapid player who's going to run them ragged, and then Kulusevski can come in with 20 minutes to play and have a little bit more trickery, a little bit more edge to what he's doing, cut back on his left, get a ball into the far post. And I think that's good. Like as I said, I think Udogie was excellent again. And at the moment, I think Udogie is probably the best kept secret in the Premier League.
I'm really worried that someone's going to discover it. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. Like, I really think that in a year, Man City, Madrid, they're going to come knocking. How Italy haven't called him up this international break, by the way.
Mental.
I know he's got a fever anyway, so he's not going to under 21s. But how the main team haven't called him up is absolutely criminal.
I know. It's mental. Like, literally, best kept secret in the Premier League is just Udogie. He's unbelievable. Like, he's up there with the best left backs in the league at the moment. I thought Porro had an all right game.
It's the most Porro game ever, isn't it? Pretty poor defensively, probably at fault for the first goal. But that ball to Son was just a joke.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
A pass.
Unreal.
I'm not going to lie, right? If that ball had been played by Kevin De Bruyne, then I guarantee you every pundit on the planet will be waxing lyrical about it.
It was unbelievable.
But because it was Pedro Porro, it was just like, oh, that's quite a good pass, isn't it? Like, literally, such a great ball.
Sorry, tell me something. I just want to go back to the Udogie thing. Like, the way I see Tottenham, and I've seen them for the past couple years, we've always gone for like the top players of the lower teams. So, for example, Højbjerg was a top player at Southampton team. We snatched him. This season, Maddison, top player from Leicester, we snatched him. Do you guys think? I know you guys said you do think this, but I want to get a bit more into detail. But with the Udogie situation, do you think the bigger teams are going to look at us and going to do a deal like the Kyle Walker, like what happened with Kyle Walker, where he just left the city? Can that happen? And if so, how much money are we saying? How much money are we talking?
Well, in all honesty, I think we as a team have improved. We've had regular Champions League football. We're a different team to when Kyle Walker left us in 2015, was it?
2016, I think.
2015, 2016. Like, he left us like 7-8 years ago.
Last season, the lane he left.
Yeah.
I think it was 15, 16.
So the reality is, he
joined in 2017.
All right, yeah, he left it later. Yeah. Okay.
But even so, right? Since then, we've been in a Champions League final. Like, in all honesty, I think it very much depends on how we have a season. If the next two seasons we finish 7th and 8th, then he goes. Yeah. He goes to Real Madrid. He goes somewhere else. But if we are consistently in around the top 4, we're getting Champions League football, maybe win an FA Cup, then I think we potentially hang on to him. If we're one of the top sides in England, then we are an attractive option.
I think the problem is if you look at the depth of positions just in world football, left back is one of the weakest. And I think that is one of the reasons he stands out so much, is because the depth of the left back position in world football at the minute. If you look, you've got Alphonso Davies, Andy Robertson's not at the level he was. Luke Shaw's now injured, but he's a top player. Estupinian at Brighton. There's not many top left backs in world football at the minute. There really isn't. Real Madrid have just gone back for Fran Garcia, who they loaned out not a year ago because Ferland Mendy can't do it for them. The left-back position is one where there is a lack of world-class talent, and this kid is unbelievable. It would not surprise me to see someone come in for that 80 to 100 million region for him. It really wouldn't.
Oh, okay, so sorry, 1 second. I just want to say, for Udogie though, do you think it could be? Obviously, I love Udogie. I'm just playing devil's advocate for a second. Do you think it's due to the position and just playing him? Because I feel like if we were playing him as a wing back, I don't think he's going to be nearly as effective as he is right now. Right now, he's an inverted left back. That means he's able to get in between the midfielders. He's a big boy. He's rapid. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's maybe also helps him with that position that he's playing right now?
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest, Josh. Like, I kind of resent that sort of statement, and the reason being is because at the end of the day, you play your players in the best position they're suited to. So you might say that the position is better suited to him than playing a wing back, but at the same time, when you've got a player of that quality with that ability, why would you make him a wing back when he can be an inverted fullback and absolutely like smash his performances out the park? So no, I think that Ange knows what he has in front of him and he's playing it to the best of his ability. And I think Udogie was great. Someone we haven't mentioned, Romero and Van de Ven.
Oh.
Yeah.
They've had a good game again. Don't get me wrong, I was disappointed to concede 2 goals.
Me too.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Obviously, we conceded 1 early on. We then fought back and got up to 5. But I feel like 5-1's a much better scoreline than 5-2. But then at the same time, it's also a difficult one because you go, all right, well, if we were winning 2-1, would we have conceded that second goal?
Yeah, I don't think so. Even if it was 3-1, I don't think we would have.
Yeah.
But
when you're winning 5-1, you take your foot off the gas a little bit. You become a bit complacent. You're just like, well, we're winning by 4 goals. It's the end of the game. All right, they get a goal. Who cares? So
yeah, no, I'm just trying to understand. So tell me something, guys. Josh, I'm gonna come to you for a second. Do you think the substitution of PML Højbjerg? I want to talk about him for a second. Obviously, he rejected the move to Fulham, and he's now at Tottenham Hotspur. I feel like he was a big majority of our mistakes last season. I believe that. Now, do you think with his substitution of him coming into
you weren't watching Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez?
I know Dyer and Sanchez, yeah, but I'm saying him in that midfield, I feel like was a big doubt. Now, do you think in terms of substitutions that Ange made for the game, do you think it helped us, or do you think it wasn't the best because we did concede that late goal towards the end of the game?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think with Højbjerg, he's a body, and until Bentancur comes back, we need a body to bring on there because when you look at Basuma, he didn't even play 90 minutes last year. You can't ask him to play 40 games this season of 90 minutes. It's just not possible. You'll break him if you ask him to play too many minutes. And Skippy's just not up to the level either. So I get it. And Højbjerg brings that sort of experience and he's a bit more robust and functional. And obviously he's someone that Ange was willing to siphon off, but it just didn't happen. And that does happen in the transfer window. Like, not everything's going to go how you want it. And I think he's one of those that we'll have to keep around at the minute. But he's the best of the rest, if you get what I mean. I think he's the best of that old guard that we're trying to get rid of. And I think you can bring Højbjerg's situation quite nicely with everything else, because I saw a tweet yesterday about sort of just the atmosphere and the vibe of the club and how it's changed so quickly. And people have said that they think Ange came in and he smelled that bad sniff around the club immediately, and he's identified exactly who it is. Dyer out, Højbjerg pretty much wanted him out. He's stuck with him now. But even the old leadership, Kane, gone. That whole leadership group out, and replace him with who? Son, Maddison, Romero, and I love them as a trio. I think all 3 of them have stepped up massively, absolutely massively. They look like all of them want to be here. They all love the team. They all love the coach. They've got such a good connection with the fans. they're all taking such a good level of responsibility. I think Romero, this leadership thing has been a massive positive for him. Because it's not like he had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but he's been massive.
Yeah, and aside from Son, it's a very young group too.
Exactly. It feels like this old guard is finally being pushed out. We know now, we're going to talk about it in another video later, but, Ndebele, Sanchez gone, Dyer out. Regardless of what happens, I don't see Eric Dyer playing any minutes at all. I think we'd rather bring in Phillips and Dorrington than to play Dyer in anything.
He hasn't even made a squad yet. So
no, I think he's done. Obviously, Kane, that whole leadership, Skippy doesn't really feature anymore. He was the youth representative in that leadership group last year. It's a whole new leadership group. It's a whole new group, and it feels completely different around the club.
It's also nice because I think it's 3 different players completely. Like, I think when you look at Son, you look at him and he is the captain, but he's a nice person. Everyone wants to be around him. He gets the group together. Then you look at Madders, he really controls that midfield bit, and he's basically the captain of that midfield bit. And then you look at Christian Romero, he is the aggressive one out of them 3. So I feel like each one of them bring a different attribute to the captaincy in role in general. And by the way, when Ange did that whole little announcement of Son as captain, I believe that he didn't really make Son captain. I feel like he made all 3 of them captain, like a non-spoken captain, Romero and Maddison, because the way they act on the pitch, the way Maddison ups the fans, the way Romero celebrates, it just shows that they don't feel like vice captains. They feel like they're captains, and like Josh said, the new leadership is absolute quality. Matt, what do you get out of this new leadership? Do you believe some youngsters should be in there? I'm just putting this out there, or are you really impressed with this leadership?
No,
and we'll keep it like this.
Well, no, I'm happy with it because so you've got Son who's 31, right? You've got Maddison who's 26, and Romero's
23 or 24.
20, yeah.
So I'm not going to lie, for a leadership group, I'd say it's a good mix.
Sorry, 25. Romero's 25.
Yeah. So I'm not going to lie, Romero's 25, Maddison's 26, and obviously Sonny's obviously older. But the reality is, I think there's a decent amount of youth in that anyway. 25, 26 isn't old. So I think it's a good mix. Just on the subject of Romero, can we all appreciate his goal at the weekend?
Oh. Finish.
Unbelievable. The class, the accuracy.
But no, so I saw an interesting thing. Apparently, Romero and Van der Ven are yet to commit a foul this season.
In the Premier League, yeah.
That's mad, really?
Yes.
But yeah, there was obviously yellow for Van der Ven against Fulham, but I don't know how, I haven't looked into that stat, but I did see that as well.
Yeah. Apparently, in the Premier League, Romero and Van der Ven are yet to concede a foul. Which is incredible.
And by now, Romero probably would have got like a red card. Van der Ven last season.
I don't know if people have noticed social media. Romero comments on every single one of Van der Ven's posts. He absolutely loves the bloke, and you can tell how much he loves playing with him because he sat there. He's finally got a competent partner after a whole year of just playing with crap. He's finally got a competent partner that he can trust in. That's the biggest thing. He can trust in.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Romero was a standout player in the World Cup for Argentina. They won a World Cup.
He's so disrespected. He's so disrespected amongst football fans.
Yeah, like literally. And unfortunately, Romero has gone to a World Cup, been a standout player in the World Cup. He was a fantastic centre-back. He played every single game, right? And he's then come back and been like paired up with a donkey again, and our defense is leaking goals, and then Romero gets disrespected because unfortunately he's not had a competent partner to play with. So unfortunately, everyone's tarred with the same brush, and everyone's like, "Oh, Tottenham's defense are awful. Romero's awful." Exactly. No, he's not. Romero's fantastic. Romero's a brilliant player, but he can't do everything. He
That's
needs
the
to have.
worst thing. That's the worst thing of a football player. Like for example, when I play my football and I know I've got someone next to me in that midfield area that's absolutely crap, it's a nightmare to recover for him. And I can't fault for him, getting those fouls last season because being aggressive and being upset that you don't have someone that you can rely on. I bet you inside he is saying to himself, what is Dyer doing in the team? He cannot defend. And the annoying thing is that pretty much annoyed me last season with Romero is the fact that he didn't shout at Dyer enough. He didn't shout at his defender enough. And I feel like if he raised his voice, maybe something else would have happened. But I can't fault him. At the end of the day,
But
now he's
but
got a good centre back
but
next
at
to
the
him.
same
It's all
time,
good.
I think you say he wasn't shouting. I think last season he was just dejected. He was like,
Yeah, that
You
could
could
be.
see it
Yeah,
in his face.
it was like, what's the point in shouting? It's not going to make a difference. He's still awful. Like so.
Yeah.
I think last year Romero knew if his attacker got past him, that's it, they're in. Whereas now, Van der Ven, good luck. Good luck to anyone that tries to burn past that bloke. I think there was a Burnley attacker. He beat him 3 times and he still didn't get past him because Van der Ven, every time he got past him, just went, "Oh, give me a second, right back in front of you. Give me a second, right back in front of you." The kid's
like that
impossible to
Damature.
beat
Did you see that
1-on-1.
Damature?
Yeah, he's massive, and he's been captain of Wolfsburg before, by the way. Like he's a
Yeah.
young leader. We've got 2 leaders as our centre backs now. That's the big difference. Eric Dyer was not a leader. Ben Davies, I like him, and he takes the captain's armband sometimes, but he's not that real leader that you look to on the pitch by their performance.
Yeah.
Correct.
Van der Ven and Romero are a true centre back pairing. And
Yeah,
they've got a bit of that Toby and Yan about it. I don't care.
Looking
They've got
good.
a bit of the Toby and Yan about them.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I really want to get 3 points from Sheffield United. If we can get to that Arsenal game with 13 points, but Arsenal's going to be our first test. But I'm going to be honest. From what I've seen of Arsenal this season, they're not worrying me.
It depends where you look at it from. Obviously we're doing the match preview that later, but I think it depends where you look at it from. Based on yesterday's game, I feel like they've got the resilience that other teams don't have. That Tottenham Hotspur will have to honestly just be composed on the ball, because if you got their resilience, they're going to be coming at you non-stop for the ball, especially in North London derby. But look, lads, very quickly, I want a couple sentences from you to summarise the game. 5-2, very quickly. Maddison scored a goal. Romero scored an absolute blinder. Shimonson with 3 goals to make it his first hat-trick of the season. Many more to come. Matt, let's start with you. Couple sentences to end the match reaction.
I thought it was a very positive result. Turf Moor's not an easy place to go. And we've literally absolutely destroyed them. And yes, we conceded 2 goals, which I don't, like we said earlier, I don't think we'd have conceded those 2 goals if we maybe weren't so far ahead. But the reality is, we said at the start of the season, with Ange Ball, it's all about playing progressive, beautiful, attacking football and outscoring the other team. Correct. At the end of the day, if the other team scores 3 but we score 4, I don't care. We still get the 3 points. If the other team scores 7 and we score 8, absolutely fine. Like, the reality is, yeah, we conceded 2 goals, but then the reality is we've conceded 4 goals in 4 games. If we carry on like that, at the end of the season, we've conceded 38 goals, which is a significant improvement on the 63 we conceded last season. So,
exactly.
No, quick roundup. Very happy with the result. I thought there were a lot of positives. I'm absolutely gutted. I've got to wait 2 weeks now for the next Tottenham game. Because I feel like we're in a really good place, really in good emotion. And I'm going to be on absolute tenterhooks for the next 2 weeks, making sure we don't get any injuries in the international break.
Yeah, no, spot on. I think, like you said with the defense, it's a massive improvement. And look, Josh, a couple words to end the match reaction. 5-2, obviously, like I said before, and Sonny hat trick, Romero 1 goal, Madders 1 goal, and I just want to get a little shout out to Poro's pass, like Matt said, unbelievable. Yes, Josh.
What a pass! Sorry.
Yeah, coming into the first international break of the season, polar opposite of all my feelings last year. I feel so good, so positive. I can't wait to watch us again. Last year, the international break felt like a sort of a stress relief. It felt like a couple of weeks where I didn't have to cry. Now I'm crying for a different reason. It's because I don't get to see us for a couple of weeks. But I think the biggest thing to say is coming up to this first international break, the question was, before the season even started, who are Spurs without Harry Kane? Well, this is who we are, and you should be worried. Underestimate us at your own risk. We're here, and, we're a problem.
Yeah. No, but spot on. By the way, quick thing as well. I think if Basuma would have played the central defensive midfielder role, like he does for Ange in the Conte system, I think we would be in a bit of a different outcome right now. But look, lads, hopefully you guys enjoyed this match reaction to the Tottenham Hotspur versus Burnley 5-2. What a fantastic game. Looking forward to watching Tottenham again on the 16th versus Sheffield United. Obviously, match preview will be then. Make sure to go and check out all the socials of the lovely panel here. Obviously, co-hosts Matt and Josh here. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. And yeah, we're almost on. We're just at 1.2k, which is brilliant. Thanks so much for watching. Come on, you Spurs.